Weekly, Euthanizing News.
Hello and welcome to yet another interesting episode of Youth Weekly on UTV Africa. On the program, we bring to you issues that made headlines during the week in the language and perspective of young people. I am Tracy Ihinzai.
And I am Success Ekpenyong. Here were some of the news that made the headlines during the course of the week. 10.5 million Nigerian children out of school, says UNICEF.
Democracy Day. Atiku, Ekweremadu, Saraki tax leaders on poverty, unemployment, security.
I have done well, says Jonathan.
Emergency rule. Reps withdraw Jonathan's power over state fund.
Only credible elections can sustain Nigeria's democracy, Uzokalo.
Nigeria, others top list of countries lacking access to electricity.
AU chairperson tasked African youths, others, to debate on continent's future.
Nigeria records 60% fall in maternal mortality.
On sport, Bayern Munich beats Borussia Dortmund to lift the 2013 UEFA Champions League trophy.
And on the foreign scene, 40 firms interested in Uganda's refinery. These were some of the issues that made headlines during the week. Join us shortly as we go into our discussion segment. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Youth Weekly, Euthanizing News.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, today is Democracy Day in Nigeria. So I wanted to sample your opinion. What do you think? Is Nigeria's democracy really worth celebrating 14 years from its inception?
Because Nigeria's democracy is really worth celebrating. The fact that we are still having an uninterrupted democracy is a celebration in itself. Albeit the fact that we have our cups of insecurity around the country that has impeded our growth, corruption, freedom of information not being in effect really, I think Nigerian democracy is really going places. It is worth celebrating. We have telecommunications, we have power being improved upon, we have development that has come as a result of people interacting with their representatives. Our problems have been brought to the fore finally. Several things that we didn't used to know in the past are being made aware of now to the public, and that is worth celebrating.
So what aspect of the democracy do you think really needs to be addressed?
I think that the people are participating more than we ever did, so I would not really fault that. I can only expect it to grow better. But as for representation, I have my problems with the fact that there is this huge gap. There's a divide between the representatives and the people they're representing.
Okay.
And we have had this problem over time, and democracy has not really changed it. In fact, a lot of abuse of rule of law has made it wider.
Okay.
We hope that can be bridged over time, but for 14 years now, the improvement has been rather slow, but it's been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what role do you think young people can play to consolidate Nigerian democracy?
Young people's role in consolidating our democracy, thank God, is not improving upon our democracy, just consolidating it. I think that our awareness, the awareness we have in the essence of democracy as it is, for instance, what your forum is doing today, bringing this kind of people's interest, especially the young ones, to the fore, will increase our interest in the collective national good.
Okay.
And the more we get aware, we cannot leave our fate to be decided upon by people that are on their way out, as I like to call the elders. The young persons have to take their destinies into their hands, and by doing that, I'm sure that democracy will be entrenched upon.
I'm Chinwe Chikenigwe, Mrs.
Okay. Nigeria is celebrating Democracy Day today, 14 years so far. Do you think we have anything celebrating?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. We have everything good to celebrate about Nigeria.
Okay, what should we be celebrating?
At least, if not for anything, for the unity that we have in this nation and the stability of the democracy for the past 14 years.
That's good. So now, since youth are like the future of this country, what do you think we can do to foster this our democracy?
Firstly, we want our youth first to know that education is the ultimate, not running after to get money. With their education, they will now come out, they know what it entails to have a democratic nation. And with that, they won't allow themselves to be used by some political parties to engage in political violence and thuggery. And they will really have a focus, because when you have a focus for the better Nigeria, I believe as they come up, they are going to give us the best, because life is changing, things are changing. We are in the global world, the internet world, so with that they will know how to come about and to tackle certain situations.
And how about them coming out to vote during the election?
They need to be encouraged, because it is when they come out to vote, then they will know that whether their votes are counted or not. Because from the way they came out, it will now help them to know whether the government is really saying the truth. That is the INEC handling the election, the electorate, and so on. So with this, they will know that actually we came out, we voted, but our votes are not counted. Then they can now voice out, then we can listen to them. Then when they don't come out to vote, there is no way they can stay back home and be condemning the government.
We are part of the solution.
We bring you youth perspective on issues. Youths have a voice.
We have a story to tell.
Youth Weekly, Euthanizing News.
You're welcome back to our discussion segment. As usual, we get to engage some of the news that made the headlines during the week. Tracy, this week was a very interesting week for us in Nigeria and of course across Africa. This week we had to celebrate Children's Day and also Democracy Day.
Yeah.
You know, during this Democracy Day, the president raised an issue. He said that, not an issue, he said that he had actually done well. And actually, when I looked at that statement, I felt that that should actually
You have actually been laughing over that statement.
I felt that would be blowing your own trumpet. People should actually blow your trumpet. You know, Nigerians or the people should actually be the ones to actually say, you're doing well.
You and then
you know, if you believe you've done so well, by now your praises should be sung in every part of this country. Although he said that Nigeria, what concerns me, he said Nigeria actually is the choicest destination now for investors. You know, when you talk of Africa, I want to reevaluate that somehow to say countries are and companies are leaving Nigeria for other African countries, and then we don't have stable power. In fact, the deadline for the 10,000 megawatt has been extended to December 2014. So, exactly. I mean, what is really attracting these guys? The place is not safe and all that. But if he's saying that, maybe we should look at it again.
Well, for me, I think that he's saying that in the face of the enormous, challenges that we have in Nigeria. I wouldn't, for one, if I were him, really wouldn't want to assess myself. I would want for people to assess me and really let know how we're doing, But also, even his Minister of Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has also said that the economy is growing. But I think that if you want to say that, you also want to check the lives of the average Nigerian, check other sectors and see how far and how well they're actually doing. Well, I think that's one of the things that we should be talking about, really. 14 years of our democracy. Where are we? Can we really say Nigeria, 14 years, thus far, how far have we come? Those are the issues we should be talking. What are the characteristics that define, a democratic system of government? And do we have that? Because Abraham Lincoln defined democracy as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Is this reflective in our democratic system in Nigeria? You're tempted to ask, does the average and ordinary man out there on the street really feel, what is going on in the country?
Actually, we should actually also consider people in that definition, because that definition stresses people.
Of course,
so democracy is actually for the people, all right?
A reflection of what the people want.
Yes, so if the people are not the one chanting that it is working, then nothing is working. All right, they are the ones who put you there. They have the right to get you out. But like Okonjo-Iweala said, is it if we are not feeling the impact of that economic
of the growth, then on
the people's life, on the masses, then it's not a good thing to really say at this time. Also, we want to see that the responsiveness of the government. That's one of the things that we should think about. We should think about in a democratic system. Is the government responding to the need of the people, or they're just doing what is in
talking
their
about
mind?
very basic amenities?
Yes,
electricity, water. Good road,
people are dying
our hospitals, schools,
for basic things.
You just be amazed. And every day we hear about corruption, how money has been stolen and all that. And another thing, another very integral part of any of any democratic system, you know, is free and fair elections. That brings me to the drama that's been unfolding in the Nigerian Governors Forum. You know, now we have two factions. There's the PDP Governors Forum and the Nigerian Governors Forum. And I'm saying if these practicing Democrats cannot as much as conduct free and fair elections within that small group, then it brings questions, it raises questions in our mind. How free and fair are our elections really?
I just hope that there won't be so much surprises in the future, because this is like a sign. You know, you're showing us that you guys are not organized, you cannot comport simple.
And towards 2015, there's already apprehensions going on, there's already agitations, you know, going. People are really no longer trusting, you know, of the electoral body, INEC, that we have. And you know, it raises a lot of questions, really. You want to also talk about...
One of that fundamental part of our democracy is the rule of law.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? People want to see people who are accused, or, you know, are they judged properly?
Are there sort of people that are above the law?
Yes. Are there people that are above this law, you know, and all that? So we are looking forward to our government to do something good about our democracy.
I just want to share something with you, Success. Recently, I think some months back, I read the story of a young man who stole the governor's phone. I don't know how he got access to the governor's phone, but somehow, you know, he stole the governor's phone and he was sentenced. So how many years, I can't remember, but yet we have some of these are leaders who amass wealth, and even up to today, they are walking free on the streets of Nigeria, driving cars and embarrassing every other person. So you want to talk about, are there people who are really above the law? If we're saying the rule of law is one of the, you know, one of the benefits of a democratic government.
You know, it's just funny that this is one country where we've seen that happen over and over again. And they still try to tell us that the law is taking its course on people and all that. We see the people, some elites are just going free despite their crime. So in an ideal situation, that should not actually be the case. But at this point, I want to tell our governors, our government, you know, that young people are getting agitated every day. Yesterday, I saw a very funny reaction by a young person behind me. You know, just reacting that you know, our leaders are stealing and cutting away with money that they would see. And I have to turn back and look at it. See, young people are getting agitated, and it's high time we fixed that problem. We fixed the problem of our democracy and get on course. I know you're out there listening to this discussion. We'd like you to go straight to our Facebook page, drop your comments, and follow us on our Twitter handle. You know, let us have your views on some of these issues. This is the time to express yourself on some of the things facing our democracy. Join us shortly as we engage with one of our friends for our discussion segment.
Youth Weekly. Euthanize in news.
We are part of the solution.
We bring you youth perspective on issues. Youths have a voice.
We have a story to tell.
Youth Weekly. Euthanize in news.
Hello and welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Youth Weekly on UTV Africa, and this is our discussion segment where we'll talk about one or two issues in our headlines for this week. This week, Nigeria celebrated her Children's Day, May 27th, Monday precisely. And the report, the observation that we got from UNICEF representative in Nigeria is that 10.5 million children are out of school. That is sad and very tragic. Well, we have a young person in the house, our friend Mary again. She's an in-school programs coordinator of Hands and Minds Limited. Mary, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Chris.
It's good to have you.
Mary's on the show today.
Yes, she is. Well, Mary, one of the things, as we celebrated Children's Day, I beg your pardon, this week, one of the things that comes to mind, even in spite of the activities that we had, in spite of the celebrations that we had, you want to talk about and look critically at the plight of the Nigerian child. Really, is the condition of the Nigerian child one that is for us to celebrate about? We have issues that are plaguing the Nigerian child today. Lack of education. We have abuse. We hear stories of rape. We hear stories of how children are being molested here and every now and then. Very sadly, last week I listened to a radio program of a young boy between, I think, 8 or 10 years of age, who was brought all the way from Southeast to stay with his uncle or distant relation. And then the very next day, he was thrown into the streets to sell pure water. Of course, he got lost, and somehow somebody were able to rescue him from the streets. Those are a million out of million, issues that we have that plaguing the Nigerian child. Mary, what?
That child that was taken from the Southeast does not know his right. Because if he does, he will not allow them take him out of the custody of his parents. And to think that the Child Rights Act states in Section 27 that no child should be taken from his parents. Whether you are taking the child to go and do something, it shouldn't be taken from the custody of the parents.
At what age? Is there any age speculation?
Yes, it's going to be difficult for this child to restrain.
Every child below.
Exactly. Because if my parents say, if I'm 8 or 6, and my parents say, go with this, your uncle, go with it, it's very difficult for me to say no.
Anybody below the age of 18 is a child. And so because that child is under the custody of his parents, it's a right that belongs to the child.
Okay.
And now they've taken the child away, he has no right anymore. That person can do anything he or she pleases to that child. And then there is this Section 10 says no discrimination. Irrespective of your state, your age, your sex, there shouldn't be discrimination given to any child.
This is about the Child Act, right?
Yes, Child Rights Act. Talking about that. Now, if these children know their rights, then nobody can trample on them. That is, I'm suggesting that there should be a curriculum that strictly deals with the Child Rights Act in Nigeria. If you know your rights, nobody can violate you.
I'm also aware that this Child Rights Act stipulates freedom. These kids have the freedom, they have rights, and they have rights to be educated. All right, parents parents are obligated. In fact, it is compulsory that they have their kids go to school.
Definitely.
You know, but the painful part of it is that just 15 states of the 36 that we have, less than 50%, have adopted this right. And it's plaguing this nation. You know, so every 27th May we see celebration, governor's wife,
partying and all that.
What are they celebrating? Our future is bleak because of the kind of attention we're giving to our kids. You understand? But I would like us to look, you know, because let's take it to the kids right now. What are the kind of values that you think that our kids should have that perhaps maybe we were privileged to have in those days and all that? You know,
I think for one, respect for elders, respect for your nation. Those are the simple things we're taught when we're growing up. Today, it's alarming. Success is really alarming, the kind of children that we have. Children who do not have respect. Children who do not know where they are coming from. Children who do not know the history of where they are coming from. So I think that as parents should take up the responsibility. It's our responsibility to give our children love, care, give them education. It's our responsibility to make it our own responsibility as parents. I think with that we can really achieve a lot.
You know, some of these children, they have respect, but does the society have respect for them? If you do have respect for these kids, you will make them go to school.
That's true.
You give them room to air their views. They all think. And so opportunity should be given to them to come out with what they are thinking. You don't shut down your child. I had this opportunity to read about some of the things that are happening around the world. How China is investing seriously into their children. How Singapore is investing into their children. The United States they're pumping millions of dollars into their education because of the competition and
now.
Here we are with the dead documents on child rights.
The one that amazed me, at the level where Dubai is right now, they are preparing so much for their kids. They want their kids to take the lead in the future. That is a serious message to countries like Nigeria. Because when you hear this kind of statistics, 10.5 million kids out of school,
it's alarming. Yes, it is.
It's a time bomb to this country, and our government, they need to wake up. And teachers in schools should know that they have a responsibility.
Especially in government schools. Some of these teachers just go and do nothing. You will be amazed to go to some schools and the teachers are not even in classes when they ought to be. So some of these things we need to really take them seriously. Where I think that if we want to go on, we could go on and on. I know this is one of the issues I am also very passionate about.
This before we wrap up. Hands and Minds Limited, we have a program. We're working with 45 children right now in collaboration with the U.S. Embassy on June 5th. Now we want these kids to come out and talk about this right. They should talk about the one that is working, the one that is affecting them directly, and the one that is not working. Now we want these children to become advocates of this right.
That's true.
Let them talk so that the government can hear them.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. Before we go, one more last comment from both of you.
Yeah, it's very important at this point that if the UNICEF is saying that 10.5 million Nigerian kids are out of school, somebody should not be sleeping in government. They shouldn't have the time talking about parties and children's celebration. Just go straight to action and let's see how we can get these kids back to school.
Okay.
I like to stress on that section 15, which says every child has the right to free education and compulsory education. So if you're out there, you have a child that is below the age of 18 and he's not going to school, nothing, you are committing a crime, and please take that child to school. He deserves his right.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Youth Weekly. Remember, your comment, your observation is very important to us. Drop your comments and observation on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/UTV Africa, or follow us on our Twitter handle @UTV Africa. Until next week, from me, it's bye-bye.